Very example you test in Hilchos Lulav. Kol shechayim b'shofar b'sukkah chayim b'Hilchos Lulav. Anybody who is obligated to hear shofar or sukkah, make a sukkah, he's obligated also to take a lulav. Anybody who's potter is potter, who is not obligated, is also not obligated in shofar and sukkah or in a lulav. A minor who knows how to shake the lulav, chayav lulav midivei soifrim. He's chayav lulav as the Chacham required it, kidei lachanchoi b'mitzvahs, in order to educate him in mitzvahs. Why does it, the Magen Mishnah explains when it says these are all mitzvahs zman gomo. These are time activated. Usually a woman isn't required, and therefore it's mentioning here that she's not required. Rabbeinu Manoach explains that the Rambam mentions also shofar and also sukkah because the cheirish, the deaf person who can speak but he cannot hear, is not obligated in shofar because he can't hear, but he's obligated in lulav and in sukkah. Therefore, since the cheirish is not potter on shofar and sukkah, only on shofar, therefore he would be obligated to take a lulav. A kohen who knows how to shake the lulav, in order to educate him. The Magen Mishnah cites the Mishnah in Sukkah 42a. A kohen who knows how to shake the lulav, he's obligated in lulav. And they explain the Yerushalmi, midivreim means it's only rabbinically, in order to educate him. And this is simply understood. That's the source. So Rabbeinu Manoach adds that we're talking about where he has the understanding and the intelligence to shake as the way Chazal told him to shake, and not just at random. Some Sefer questions, since in Torah you fulfill your obligation just with picking it up without shaking it, why shouldn't you just teach to be obligated to educate a kohen who knows how to pick it up? And he answers, you learn from the din that you're obligated with lulav, that the lulav has to go out of the eged, a tefach, that kedei l'naneo boy, that the anua is alol l'moshe misinai, he has to be able to shake it. So just like I guess the lulav has to be shaken, so too the person has to be able to know to shake it. And when he goes moilech or maybe malam moilech to the four corners and to the up and down, is it a rabbanan? But the actual shaking min Torah is a requirement of just a little bit, and therefore the kohen who is not obligated to understand the lulav only if he knows how to shake it for the sake of lulav, not in the directions. And he questions why the Gemara in Sukkah 42a questions that when you pick it up, how do you make a bracha? As soon as you pick it up, you fulfill your obligation, and you haven't shaken it yet. So he concludes with that bothers him according to his understanding that the obligation is to shake it. You haven't shaken it yet, and he recants. And he ends that actually the shaking does not stop a person from doing the mitzvah. Right? He has to have the ability to shake it. Therefore, the lulav has to go out from the hodas v'arova, and the shiur that you require cotton is according to the understanding that he knows how to shake, because you see that's part of the mitzvah, the fact that it protrudes beyond the hadassim, so you can see that the lulav is shaking. Shulchan Aruch in 457 paskins, a cotton who knows how to shake the lulav kedinoi, according to the way it's supposed to be done, his father has to buy him a lulav to teach him, educate him in mitzvahs. Shavur adds, if he doesn't know how to shake it, even if he's 6 years old, you're not obligated. Chinuch changes according to the child, as we find in the Pri Megadim. Every mitzvah you have to educate according to what the concept the child is capable of understanding. And in the mitzvah of chinuch that takes place when the child is 6 years old, is only those things which he knows how to keep when he's 6 years old. The Shabur continues on what the Mechaber says, you should shake the lulav as it's din. that it means up, back and forth, up and down, and he doesn't have to know the actual. If he becomes confused between right and left, right, he goes in one direction other than the other one, it's fine. Mishabura cites the Marshal that you don't have to purchase for the child a lulav by himself, but after the father made a bracha, you can give it to the son to make a bracha, like in Tosfos, that a child can fulfill his obligation without of his father. But the Taz says that if he does have the ability to pay, and it's better if he buys him a lulav, that he should do so during Hallel together with the tzibur, not at a time other than that. But the Biur Halacha adds you should only buy kosher for meaning that are kosher. If they're posel, then you're not really educating them, because you might think I had as a child a lulav esrog that had a hole in it. Halacha. L'Moshe Messina, Halacha L'Moshe Messina, Shemavim b'Mikdash, that you in the Beis HaMikdash, Arova Acheres, they would bring another willow, Chutz me'Arova shebalulav, except for those that are in the lulav. And he went to the Beis HaMikdash with the lulav in the 4 minim, it doesn't suffice. The shiur in the measure of that willow is afilu ola echad bad echad, even one willow, one leaf on one branch. So the Magen Mishnah cites this as Sukkah 44b. How much is the shiur? Amar Nachman, 3 body olin, 3 fresh willows. No, and Rav Sheshes says it's enough 1 leaf for 1 branch and 1 twig. Rav Sheshes halach like Rav Nachman, b'dinei odam, b'dinei momenes. Rav Sheshes be Yisuri, but the halach is like Rav Sheshes when it comes to Issa. Therefore, we passing like Rav Sheshes that it's enough in the Beis HaMikdash 1 leaf and 1 twig. Bring some sukkah, 34a. 10 atiyas, 10 things that are planted. Arova and Yisramayas, that you're allowed to do 10 inside a certain area of the field. Arova, the bringing of the Arova to the Beis HaMikdash. Yisramayim, Aloch LaMoshe B'Sinai. All of these things were Aloch LaMoshe B'Sinai. Rashi explains that this was directly accepted in the Beis HaMikdash together. Therefore, you mention them together. We're talking about Arova, you go around the Mizbeach. The Arova, that in the Lulav, it says in the Posuk, Harvei Nochal, so for sure it has to be more than 1. And a person can't fulfill his obligation just with the Arova of the Lulav. Where do we learn that from? I mean, Menach says, even though he picked up the Lulav in the Arova in order to keep the mitzvah of the Lekachta Nochem, or the 4 minim, and only after that he picked it up for the mitzvah Arova, still he wasn't Yeritz. It's not because he's in the middle of doing one mitzvah that he doesn't accomplish the other, because he has to take it alone, not among the 4 species, as the mitzvah of Arova. Otherwise, you don't recognize that you're fulfilling that mitzvah. Afilu ola echad b'vad echad, even 1 leaf on 1 branch. Rabbeinu Menoach cites from Rabbeinu Hai, Mechua, it's not nice to have 1 leaf and 1 twig, but you should do like Rav Nachman, 3 leaves on 3 twigs, 3 leaves on 3 twigs. Meaning they all have to be fresh. Where you can't do it, it halach is like Rav Sheshes. The Mishnah Berurah says V'Shem Ari that you should have 5 badim, and you should have 5. This is what we use on Hoshana Rabbah. That's what the Mishnah Berurah is referring to. Obviously, we don't have the Beis HaMikdash today. In commemoration, we strike the ground with 5. The Rambam says in Perek Zayin Halacha Chav Aleph, Ketzad Oisem Mitzvah. So how was the mitzvah done? B'chol Yom V'Yom Shivas Hayomim. Every one of the 7 days that in the Beis HaMikdash, Shel Arova, they would take very large branches of Arova, and they would put it against the Mizbeach. The Mizbeach was 10 amas high, and they drooped or shaded over, they were bent over the top of the Mizbeach. They must have been higher than 10 amas. At the time that they would place these arabas around the Mizbeach, they would blow the shofar as well, Tkiyo, then Trua, and then Tkiyo. Now, let's go down to the Peirush. The Mishnah cites the Mishnah in Sukkah 45:8. Rabbeinu Menoach brings from the Gemara there that morbios are soft branches but very tall, around 11 amah, in order that they should be bent over on the Mizbeach, which is 10 amas high, as we mentioned. And it could not be that it will be on the corners, only if they would be beyond. First of all, they weren't standing around the Mizbeach at the bottom. There was a foundation that was an amma high, and from there till the kronos, there's 9 amas, and above that it has to hang over the kronos, so it has to be at least 11. It would seem to be a little more because it's on an angle, and furthermore, so it comes out you'd have to have at least 11 amas. Chayim Shabbos Chag, if Shabbos, it wasn't on the first day, but was rather in the middle of the festival, you would not put it up on the Rova unless Hoshana Rabbah was on Shabbos. And you would put it up on Shabbos to show that it's a mitzvah. However, today, according to our calendar, this can't happen, so therefore it's just a halacha for Mosdos Mashiach when the Beis HaMikdash will be built.